I'd like to welcome you all to our live instructional webinar designed to support the school annual yearbook program. Today we will be focusing on functions that relate to building activities or candid pages. Specifically, we will be reviewing uh, page bleeds, margins, the toolbar, design functions, templates, click and go templates, custom templates, and themes. This webinar should be approximately 45 minutes, so let's go ahead and begin. First, we're going to talk about bleeds and margins. First, to explain what we mean about a bleed line, here we're going to zoom in just a little bit right here. So here you have the display area, which is in blue. This is where you're going to be working in mostly. In this red area right here, you will see it stretches beyond that blue area of this little blue box. So the bleed area is this little gray line right here. Any bleed element, as it says right here, any bleed element must extend past this line right here. And what this does is, we'll use this blue box for a little more uh, dramatic view of it. When we go to cut these, we have approximately a 1/8 inch plus minus cutting, and it could be anywhere from how the paper was loaded, the blade sharpness, the technician, a combination of those. So when we go to trim it, the idea of extending a background or a page beyond this gray line right here is to prevent something like this white border from appearing. So it would be to prevent like that small little bit of white showing on the edges of the page. So by putting it over here beyond the bleed line right here, we could prevent seeing that, and it's just a clear color all the way across. The other uh, the other thing about the bleed line right here is we want to be careful when we start placing images on here. Um, Here we have a few of them. When we place images on here, inside this blue box, everything is fine. But we start placing images outside this blue box, especially when you can see the bleed line right there. Um, you start to you start to notice the first issue. Right here, you can see this kiddo right here in the middle. When we talked about that cut line, that 1 inch plus and minus, so you may have the blade cut right about here or right about here. So if we zoom in a little bit further, you're going to see that a little more of this student's face would be not visible on the book. Um, and this could be an issue because depending, some parents may have problem with that. Some people may, be bothered by the fact that some of the face of this child is, not seen in the yearbook. So same thing here. You would have more or less the top of the head here missing on this child. Uh, and same thing with this one. Sometimes you can't get away with putting the picture up into the bleed line. Something like this, you will see that most of this from the top of her head here is just empty space. So you could probably get away with putting an image right here past this little blue line and into this basically like a no man's land here, and you'll be fine. Um, you might be able to get away with putting it even to the side here, right here, because you can still see a little bit of the arm and all that is still inside the printing area. To see if these images are going to be an issue and all that, you can come up to print preview. Yes, we want to save our work. And here you can actually get a preview of what the page is going to look like. This black and white dotted line right up here is the where it's going to be trimmed. So you can see this dotted line right here is going to trim the top of his head, this person's head, and this person's head. So if you ever have any question about where the trim line is or how it's going to affect the image, you can simply just do a quick preview and you can kind of get an idea of it'll even tell you right here where the trim line is. Okay, so we're going to talk about a little bit of the designer basics, and we're going to go back to, and we're just going to reset the sizes here. So here we have, starting from the beginning right here, here we have a file, your little toolbar all right here. So some of the basic things is under file, we have save. We also have a save icon right here as well. And we can actually back one. There we go. So under file right here, we have save. And we also have the save icon right here as well. Here we have save as template. This will allow us to save this page. If we ever want to save this page as a template to be used on other pages, we can just give it a name, select either left page, right page, or both page, and hit save. We'll talk more about templates here shortly. You can also save it as a practice page, and we'll talk about accessing practice pages here in a little bit. You can also view as a PDF. You can download this page. Next is edit. And so here you have edit, and then you have undo or redo. Here's your undo and redo right here. So we undo something or redo something. Here you have your change background, and we're going to talk about your backgrounds here a little later. Here we have spell check. Now the spell check is not the most broadest. It's not going to catch the three spellings of there. So that's something you're going to have to check. It will check to see if some names are spelled correctly, but not all names. Some names are unique. Some names are spelled a little bit different. Um, I've seen a name Amy spelled with IE instead of Y. So the spell checker may find that it's wrong, but it's something you may need to double check and make sure, especially names, make sure the names are correctly spelled. Double check what you typed to make sure that you're using correct words. So real quick, I was asked to do the template. So if you want to save as a template, you can come back to File, then Save as a template. You just click right here, give it a quick name, both sides or left or right, depending on what you want, and hit Save. And we'll talk about where to find them here in a minute. Next is View. You can hide your ruler and hide margins. I suggest leaving those where they are. Next is your grid lines. You can hide your grid lines, but I would leave this as alone. And here's where you can clear if you want to clear any of them. The grid lines are right here. So this ruler right here, if I move my cursor over it, you can see my cursor changes shape. So if I click and hold this on this ruler, I can drag down a bar. And this bar I could probably put right underneath there if I want to make sure that the images go no lower than this bar right here. So this just kind of help with alignment. I can bring another bar over here on this ruler. Again, you can see the cursor changes shape. You can bring that over right here. And then if I do view, go over to clear, and I can do clear all, and I can clear those out. Here's where we can do zoom in, zoom out, fit to window. Then these last two are kind of important. If you have staff helping you work on the page, or you have two students, one assigned to one page, one assigned to another page, and as they're working on a page, they may run into something called a save conflict error. What this means is if one student, if I work on this page and I save it, then I take ownership of those pages. Whoever's working on the other page, they either have to save it as a template or they would have to leave the page and leave their work undone. Um, what this is doing is preventing a save error, so both of us aren't saving over top of each other. To prevent something like this, what we can do is currently facing pages are selected. So what facing pages are is right here. Here we have both of these pages. By selecting single page, then I'm only seeing this one page. This means I can work on this page and this page alone, while the other student works on this page and this page alone. They can save their work, and it prevents any save conflict errors, and it lets them continue on without having to worry about who has ownership of the page. To switch it back, all you have to do is go to View, Facing Pages, and it brings it right back. Next is Arrange. Here you have lock and unlock. So if you have an image right here and you want to lock that image, you can come up to Lock, and you'll see this red box around it with this little lock icon that lets you know it's locked. You can come back to Arrange and you can unlock it. Under Arrange, you have Group. So if we want to group these images, we can just click that. And here, if you see image, if a dotted yellow line around images like this, it just tells you that it's grouped. To ungroup it, you can either go under Arrange and ungroup, or you can come over here on this little toolbar that opens up right here at the top, all the way over here and click on ungroup. Also, back to lock, we also have the lock icon right here where you can click this, lock it, or unlock your images. Arrange right here, you also have arranged vertically, so you can center these if they were like one on top of each other right here. You can select this, go up to arrange and center these if you want, or you can go up and also you can do the same thing under here under arrange. You can center them, move them to the right, to the left, up, down. You can also here you can flip the image right here. You can also bring it to the front. You can send it to the back. Here, like I said, this is your undo and redo, your spell check, preview, virtual book. Here you can view the book virtually. You can add comments as well as save. Next, we're going to talk about templates, placing templates on the pages, saving templates, click and goes, saving custom templates, and a few others. So first, we're going to talk about placing templates on a page. First, we need to find out where to find them. And that is simply over here in Designs. We're going to click here. And then we're going to click either Page Surfer. You can find candids right here. You can find Simple Gallery, Sports Pages. Here we have Click and Go, just simple headers, quote boxes. We also have things for advertising, classic, recognition, different size pages. These are 1/8 page, half page, full page, and they're just different templates that you can use. So here in clubs and organizations, so if we want this page right here over here, all we have to do is click and hold, drag it over here, let go, and you're going to get this pop-up. That's going to ask you, do you want to retain existing content that's currently on the table? So if you've selected a background, which we will talk about backgrounds next, if you already selected a background and you already have it on the page, you can click yes. By clicking yes, the background stays. What happens if we click no? you will see that your background disappears. And by telling it no, that you said you don't want to retain anything that's currently on the page, you want a fresh page. And we click and hold, we put it here, we get this retain existing content. By clicking yes, the background stays. These boxes are individual, so you can change I click on these and you can change the font. You can change the coloring. And real quick on changing the coloring, you'll see used on page. This will be all the colors that are currently used on the page. So if you want a different font, you just click on a different font. Here you can drop images into these uh, blue image frames.
Okay, what's your job?
We do that. And we can also change. So there we go. So if we want to save this as a template to be used on other pages, we decorate it up. We got a few ideas that we're going to do with this. To save this, as we said before, we're going to come up to File and we're going to do Save as Template. So we're going to call it something and we're going to do both pages. Here we're going to click on Save, and those templates are now saved. To access these templates, we're going to come back over to Design, the drop down arrow, and we're going to come up to Custom. We're going to click on Custom, and here is where our templates are. It's your click and go in My Templates. So under My Templates right here, you will find all the templates that you have used or you have saved, that is. Um, so if you want a template from your saved templates, you click and hold, drag it over. And so there you go. You have your template that you can move on each page. So we can go back to the previous page and we can click and hold.
So these images, were they images of the students? Is this what you?
And there we go. Now we're going to, if you ever have to remove any of these templates or it's a template you don't want on here, you can simply come over to History, go over to the page that you're currently working on, or do you want to delete, and you can come back to you come back to the older version. You'll see that the last one was blank. You click and hold and bring it over here. This history will retain everything that is done on the page, and you can see it goes all the way back to the very beginning, the very first page. So at any time you need to go back to a certain point, you can simply drag and drop it on the page. So next we're going to talk about some click and goes. And so here you have just some different ones that you can put together. Something like, let's move this. So if this was something just to fill in this little spot right here, you could put it on there. Now you'll see that the dotted yellow lines are right there. And if you remember the dotted yellow lines with these uh, image frames, chances are these are grouped. So we'll come up here to the toolbar over to the side next to the little lock, and we can click ungroup, or we can come over to arrange and ungroup. Now you'll see that there's a solid yellow line all the way around each one. And now we can click on each one individually. Before they were grouped and
Okay.
you couldn't click on each individual ones.
A two-step process. So far you've done great.
But as soon as we,
So what we actually make the cover. We now at this point we have what
there we go. As soon as we ungroup it,
cover.
they are now individual and we can move them around or drop images into them.
So what we're going to need to do is you're going to want your student images.
So next we're going to show uh, some theme material. So here in the clip art, here we have some items that you can use right here under, especially under cover. So if you have a custom cover, some of your theme material will be found underneath here, including any backgrounds. It- And speaking of backgrounds, we'll transition over to the backgrounds now. So backgrounds are designs that sit in just that, the background. Now the background, you can see that I cannot move, I cannot click on to the item or the design that's on there because it sits outside of the editing area or just behind everything. So you can't click on anything. To add a background, you can right click and then change background, or you can come up to edit and change background. And then you'll get this little screen that pops up right here. You'll have left page, right page. Now on the left page, you can see this little orange. It's got a solid color. So if you want just a solid color, you got background colors, and you got this whole selection right here that you can choose from. Find the one that you want, click on it, and it changes the background. You want to remove the background, what you can do is click remove background here at the bottom, and it removes the background. If you would like an image, you can click on the image, and it should be by default backgrounds right here. These are some of the default backgrounds that you could use. Those of you that have covers, you can click on the down arrow, come by down clip art, by cover, and then select the one that the cover that you had, the name of the cover. Here, you'll see all your covers are right here. If it's in red like this, the little red square, you cannot use it as a background. If you want to, I could click on this one and select it, and I can select that as a background. I can select this one as a background, just click on it, click on select, and now this is the background. Those of you that don't have one of our covers, doesn't uh, don't feel like you can't use them because you can. You can use these backgrounds. If you see one of these, or even under theme, if you see a theme one that you really like, you could use those. The clip art, everything under clip art is free for you to use. Under here, you can see that you have flip and rotate, so you can flip those if you want to flip it. Up here, you have crop, so if you want to like focus on something, or if you don't want maybe the bottom of that in there right there, you can do that and click off of it, and then you can just have just the fish. Um, so next we're going to talk about formatting and show photo boxes, shape formatting, text formatting. So we're going to talk about how to do something custom like this right here. Have like a little nice little neon look behind some of these boxes, or doing stuff like this. So here we have under clip art, we can go to image frame, and we can put an image frame right here. We can adjust it. All right, we're going to find an image. We're going to put an image right there. That little pop up just let me know that I've already used that image somewhere on the page, and it's going to be a duplicate. So some of the formatting we can do is we can click on this and we can add a border around it or a stroke. So we can click on this little down arrow, click on this line, and it adds a thin line right here that you may not be able to see it. So we're going to change the coloring. So we come over here to color and we can change it to whatever color we want. Let's say change it to a pink color or whatever, but we still have a little trouble seeing it. We come back here where this one is. We're going to click down and we can come up to maybe a 4 or a 6, and then you can start seeing that border around there. If it's still not clear or we don't like it, we can always change the color of it. Right now, we can come up here to Format and Effects. We click this down arrow, and we can. One of the things we can do is we can round the corners. So we can round the corners of this image. We can change the transparency, so we can make it a little more transparent, or we can make it disappear altogether. We can change the tint on it. So if it's a darker image, you can change, kind of lighten it up just a little bit. Uh, try this one right here. You might be able to kind of maybe lighten it up a little bit, just a little. Yep. Right. Something else you can do is right underneath here, you have drop shadow and glow. So under drop shadow, you can actually add a shadow here on the left, well, on the right, and then underneath it, you can change the distance. So you want to make it a little bit greater. The degree, you could change it to where it's maybe on the other side, or maybe it's right above it, whatever. Or change that all the way up there. That way you can really see it. But you can change it to different directions. The opacity just changes whether it's a solid shadow or kind of a light shadowing. The blur, see, we're going to change the opacity all the way up. So the blur lets you see it like just a solid pattern, or you can add more of a blending effect to the background. You can also change the coloring right here. So you can change it to kind of a, I guess, a neon color. Do you want to call it that? So you can change it to red or just kind of a purple color, whatever you want to change it to. Next is a glow, and the glow will be all the way around the image. So you can change the opacity all the way up, and then we can change the blur. So here the whole entire image will have this kind of a glow effect all the way around it. For any reason that you don't want to use it anymore, you can simply turn it off. Now, if there is an image that you need to edit or need to change something on there, um, we can do that. We come up here to Snap Edit, and here you can change it to a black and white image. Here you can change it to kind of an old style image, add an overlay. Here you can add something like this and kind of change, if you kind of change it just a little bit, maybe add a little bit of if it's too bright, you can kind of add a different color, kind of maybe change the look of the image a little bit. You can also change the brightness here, the contrast, and the saturation. Yeah, just gonna, there we go, all the way back. Next, we're going to come over here and we're going to click on mask. Now here we can click eraser, brush size, tolerance, and next is transparency. So let's say we don't want this part of the image. We can come up and we can click on this, and we can make that transparent, make it a little larger brush, and then we can change that to kind of get rid of all that. Once we hit save, here you can see that part of the image is now gone. Now, the original image is just fine. Right here, you can see the original image is fine. Just the one on the page will have a mask over it. So if you're concerned that if you hit save, that image looks like that from here on out, it won't. And so now you can see that it's a transparent background. Something else we could do, you want to get creative with the mask. You can also do black and white. You can take your brush and you can do like a black and white. And we'll do a little rough one right here. There we go. And so there you go. So you got the child standing go. Uh, the child's image is in color with the background and black and white. So something a little creative there. Next, we're going to talk about formatting text. So if we ever want text underneath here, we come over to text right here. And that's right, I was showing the customer this. We're going to do a pro tip right here. When you have active fonts, and you come over here to style and create a style, we're going to create this one. We're just going to save it as a new style. All right, and then when you go back to your fonts and you inactivate fonts and go back to styles, you'll see that your style is now gone. It's because you inactivated the style. So make sure that any active fonts that you have, just leave them active. So we're going to do that, and we're just going to do that and save it. So that way I have a style. All right, we'll come over to images, and we have an image here, and we want to put a text box on here. So we can put an image coming down here to text, click and hold on the text, bring it over here and let go. And then now we have a text box on the page. We can move this text box around, and we can do anything, kind of move the text box as big as we want. And anytime you see this right here, a red X, that means what you have typed is larger than what the text box has room for. So to fix that, all you have to do is drag it out until that red X goes away. Once here, you can type into it, type whatever you want. And again, all we have to do is stretch it out. Now this text, we can click on it and we can change the font right here. So if we don't like that font, we can change the font. We can click on here the text fill and we can change the text color. You can add a stroke style around the box that it's in. You can also italic, underline if that's an option. Here you can center the text within the box. You can also make the letters transparent, whatever. If you click this box right here next to this other letter A, and you click here, and you can actually add a stroke style around the actual letters themselves. Now, something else, if you have a lot of writing and you have this image right here, we'll put this image up just a little bit right here. One thing that you may or may not know is you can take this box right here, right off to the side here. You're going to see, let's go ahead and zoom in. Well, that didn't help. So right here, you're going to see a little box um, with a triangle on it, and so you can click and hold that, and you're going to see that we're dragging a um, little arrow with it, and so we're going to drag that box right there. Now, what this does is it allows for that text box to be continuation of the first one. Here you can stretch this box, stretch it up right here. So if we click back into this box, and we just start, typing some keys, you can see that it could, takes it from this box and it continues it into this box. All right. Then, of course, we have our history right here, and a little pro tip here. If you see something, if you know there's something on another page that you want on here, you can actually go to that page, um, click and hold on that, and then bring it on here as well. All right. At this time, we will open it up to any questions. You can go ahead and take yourself off mute if you have any question, or if you need something further explained in what we talked about today.
Now, I think that's the problem. She just keeps only those two.
All right. I want to thank you all for joining us this afternoon. These demonstrations of the functions related to the creation of activity pages may help when it comes time to build your book. Using the templates already in the program and building your own templates should save time and give the book continuity. Feel free to join us next session, session 3. In that session, we will also start talking about the final steps in reviewing your book and getting it ready to submit. That webinar is really important. I highly suggest you show up because that's when we start talking about how to find errors on pages and how to get it ready to start submitting. Right? And I'd like to thank you all for tuning in. And if you have any questions after the webinar, please feel free to call or email in.